Abu Yasser is here to help. MashaAllah. Foundation to help you explore. Education to help you secure. Listen, no one.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا من سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Let me greet you with the best salutation of Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Our guest speaker, who I don't know that he's still a guest, but I think he has now become, well, he started from here, from Kano, and now he's back. He has been back to Kano for some time. But for this context, we are still going to consider him as our guest speaker. And his entourage and members and executives of the Zaitun Dawah Institute Foundation and all members of the High Table, the organizers, and then the participants, brothers and sisters, you are all welcome to this program. The MC, I don't know when you became a politician. Where is he? Yes, saying so many things which I think most of them were just mere exaggerations. Yes, so you're welcome to this program, which is going to, the theme of the discussion is on Quran and medical health. And the sub-theme is health profession, a tool for reviving the Ummah. Quran and medical health. Somebody may think medical health, is it a tautology or medical health? Yes, so somebody may start asking, is there any other type of health apart from medical health? So I'm sure it's going to be discussed in the discussion. And the sub-theme, health profession, a tool for reviving the Ummah. I think this is a very timely sub-theme and timely topic because usually you can use the health profession actually for reviving the Ummah within and without. That is inside among the Muslims and even among the non-Muslims. But I'm going to get the details of this topic by the able presenter. So as you're all aware, circulated in the posters and in the flyers, our guest speaker today is Sheikh MOHAMMED, should I say Awal in Kano or should I say Awal? Yes, so I'll say Sheikh MOHAMMED Awal. He's the founder and director of Zaitun Dawah Institute. I'm sure we've listened to a lot of his presentations, and I'm sure even those who have not attended physically, most of us are on social media, and we've been seeing a lot of his discussions, a lot of his debates about so many aspects of Islamic Dawah. And this Zaitun Dawah Institute is a think tank and a research center which is based in Seattle, Washington, USA. It also has branches in several other places, even in the US, including New York and Atlanta. And then also, as you can see from the members of the High Table, it has also a very solid branch in Nigeria and in Ghana. He's a son of the soil. He started from here. He has studied in some institutes here. Some people may think, oh, Sheikh MOHAMMED Awal is, maybe he studied fiqh or he studied Quranic studies in the initial part of his life, but it may shock you to know that he studied agri science and irrigation engineering, and then also engineering survey, both in Nigeria. And he has also, increased his knowledge in several aspects of Islamic Dawah. And he also has some background, a solid background on logic and public speaking. And as you can see currently what is happening in the world, especially with the advance of atheism among the Muslims, you may be surprised that even in Kano, among the Muslims, core Muslims in Nigeria and all part of the world, we are getting this dangerous trend of atheism among the Muslim youths. You see somebody, you say, oh, he's an atheist. He's a humanist, he doesn't believe in God. And they are now very blunt and they come out and say it. And you can't fight this thing with force, because by the time you say you're going to apply force alone, they are going to embolden them. And then so you have to use logic, because most of their arguments are more of logic. So you have to use logic, and you can't use logic without being trained on that. So he's trained on that. So I'm sure it's going to be an interesting and enticing discussion, and a lot of people are going to make many contributions from the high table, and then we'll also be interested to get some questions from the audience, both the males and the female side. And talking about the Quran and medical health. You know, if you remember, there was a hadith which Sayyidatina Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu was asked about the characters and the behaviors of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what was her answer? She said, Khuluquhu. Yes, so his characters and behaviors are Quran. So this is very important. And as a Muslim, you can't decide to believe in one component of Islam and then not believe in the other components of Islam. You have to be a whole Muslim. You can't be a half Muslim or a quarter Muslim or a three-quarter Muslim. You have to be a Muslim in total, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Udkhulu fi silmi kafa." You should enter into the religion wholly. You should immerse yourself into it. And then also, you remember in the Quran or in Islam, diseases are usually classified into, we have spiritual diseases, and then we have also physical diseases. So I don't know, maybe this medical health, it could be talking about, is it talking about the physical diseases? Because when you talk about the spiritual diseases, things like the diseases of hypocrisy, amrad al-nifaq, fi qulubihim maradun fazadahum Allahu marada. Or it's talking about diseases of lust and desires. Remember when يا نساء النبي لستن كأحد من النساء إن اتقيتن فلا تخضعن بالقول فيطمع الذي في قلبه مرض. So these are all these. Then you have physical diseases, and you know also there is a hadith which talk about that all the diseases in the world Allah has created, it is cure of all elements. It's either we know it or we don't know it. So Islam is a complete religion which talks about all that. Now, talking about the sub-theme, reviving the Muslim Ummah, this is also a very important thing, using the health profession in reviving the Ummah. Now, reviving the Ummah, what is the population of the world? Total population of the world. How many are we in the world? We are estimated to be about 8 billion people. Yes, and what is the population of the Muslims? 1.9, almost get to 2 billion. So at least a quarter of the whole world, they are Muslims. But again, you find a lot of the Muslims who are either not very knowledgeable about Islam, or they are not practicing Islam very well, or unfortunately there are even some who call themselves nominal Muslims. I'm just a Muslim by name. Or you say I'm a non-practicing Muslim. You understand? So we can use this health profession in reviving the Ummah from within, in terms of talking about how to, maybe talking about the contribution of early Muslims to medical sciences. I'm sure you remember the role of early scholars like Ibn Sina, which they call him, what do they call him in the Western world? Avicenna. He has contributed a lot. And Qanun fi Tibb. And then you remember also there is another one, Ibn Rajab. This is a scholar who has written a lot of books on, before we were students about 20-something years ago, there is a book, one of his books, which is in this library, a book by Ibn Rajab about surgical sciences, even some instruments he has designed. And this is also a scholar who has written a lot of books in fiqh. In fact, in some instances, it was said that since he became adult, there were only 2 nights that he has not read. The first marriage, when he married, and then the night when his father died. So these are people who have written, who have done a lot in, but what happened? And then there is a book also on, some people are already sleeping how many hours in a day. Now there is also a recent book written about 1,001 inventions by Muslims, I think about that. And you see a lot of that. So we can use that, even to use the logic that Muslims, Islam believe in knowledge, Islam contributed to that, so that even those of us who are going to the other path, they will realize, oh, no, we can use health profession to even do da'wah to them. And then even the non-Muslims, when they come, they are sick, we can also preach to them with using the health profession. We are not forcing them, but they are vulnerable at that time, and we can talk to them. So this is, I'm sure there are so many other facets that we are going to hear from Sheikh MOHAMMED AWAL. So let me not take much of your time. At this juncture, I would like to invite the guest speaker in person of Sheikh MOHAMMED AWAL to discuss on this theme, Quran and medical health, and then also on the sub-theme, which is on health profession, a tool for reviving the ummah. Please, if you have any questions or contributions, try and write them down. You will have an opportunity to be given to you to say your contribution and ask questions. Sheikh, tafadhal.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله وصلى الله على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى كل ملائكة المقربين وعلى عباد الله الصالحين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وبعد اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. First of all, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this way of life, for this Islam. Had it not been for Allah, His guidance, you and I would never have been in any position to guide ourselves into this way of life. And so therefore all praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the nourisher, the sustainer, the evolver, the molder, the shaper, the capacitated master of creation. The peace and blessing of Allah be upon the last and final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his household and companions, and all those who follow him until the end of time. Mr. Chairman, respected guests and members of Zaitun Dawa Institute in Nigeria, the ladies and gentlemen, scholars and intellectuals that have gathered in this beautiful, auditorium, I greet you with the universal greetings of Islam, and that is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Indeed, it's a milestone. It's the second time I've been into this institution, and I'm just happy to be back again. And I'm going to, the Zaitun Dawa Institute in the United States asked me to say salam to you and to say hello to you and to see and to tell you how you guys doing, So I'm delivering the message. They asked me to do that, and I'm doing that for you right now. All right. The topic at hand today is Quran and medical health, a tool, for reviving the Islamic Ummah. It's a very beautiful topic. It's a topic that has been long coming. It is about time that we discuss this sort of issue in Islam. Even saying Salamu Alaikum by itself to someone, it carries its, part that it plays to revitalize health. Because when I come to you and say Salamu Alaikum, peace be upon you, of course I'm not going to fight you, I'm not going to kill you, I'm not going to cause any harm to you, because I'm exhibiting peace. If there is peace, there's definitely going to be, the health issue of mankind will be so beautiful. Most of the time, we have a lot of sicknesses that comes from within, stress, tensions and fear and all this kind of stuff. So saying Assalamu Alaikum alleviate or lift up the goil that become a stumbling block for someone who is looking for peace. Because once you are in Salat and you say Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullah to the right, Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullah to the left, why would you have to turn here? Why don't you say Assalamu Alaikum, Assalamu Alaikum? Why? What is the wisdom behind to the right, Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullah? The wisdom is, you as a Muslim, you selling peace. So when you scoop down tashahhud, Assalamu alaikum. At that time, you have divided the world into two. The first half is on the right, China, Japan, whatever. Assalamu alaikum. Peace upon you all. You distribute peace, then you turn around to the other half. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. So that in itself, peace is what the world is looking for today. And whatever we do in Islam, it has its meaning. The United States, Mr. Chairman, today as we speak in the United States, especially those in Hollywood, I don't know how many of you saw me in Hollywood 4 weeks ago. Okay, let me see your hand up. Raise your hand, let me see. The ladies, man, you don't do no media. All right. Okay, so I was in Hollywood. The intention was to present peace, or Islam rather, to the Hollywoodians. I call them ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ السَّافِلِينَ. That's how I look at them. The lowest of mankind. The lowest. Those who have hit the bottomless pit on earth, down in the mire. What you going to do with these people? Why would you copy them? Why would you copy them? They need help. They're sick. Physically, mentally, spiritually, bankrupt. They don't have no direction. They have different style of life. Those that you see on television and you glorify them. Oh, look at, oh my God, I wish I'm him. The guy, he doesn't take a shower, number one. He only, in a swimming pool, maybe. He dip himself once in a while. But they don't take no shower. They stink. They marry women. Some marry dogs. Do you know that? Their life is woefully bankrupt spiritually. They don't need or deserve to be copied. So when I see my, sons and daughters and this and that, they put on their clothes and they sag it down, they begin to walk, showing their backside, copying these guys. It is so shocking. Well, I went to, in Egypt. When I was coming, I stopped by in Egypt, Al-Azhar. We have international students. And they asked me to come and, just talk a little bit. So I went. The guy that walked in, as I was giving a lecture like this, he just walked in and he got his pants sagging. We call that sagging. I don't know how you call it here. But, he's walking like crab. And he walked in. I said, man, excuse me, where you going, man? He said, what is that? Get out of here, man. You ain't coming to my place, man. I'm in the house. And you're going to put your pants like this? Bring it up, man, or you walk outside. You're not going to listen to nothing, man. Go outside and take care of business and then come back in. Where did you get this from? We copy them so much. We eat lambs and chicken and goats and fish and stuff like that. But these guys, you can't even eat them. So why would you copy them? And today in the United States, the medical, community are telling you and me and everybody in the world, if you read Health Magazine, they say to us that, science, or rather research have shown that it is mandatory for each and every human being today to wash your hands at least 3 times a day. Just wash your hand. Make sure you do it 3 times a day. Why? Because you touch this and you greet somebody, maybe, you touch this and that, and you might end up putting your hand in your mouth. So all these diseases you collect, and eventually it might hurt you. So it is scientifically correct to wash your hands at least 3 times a day. I don't know how many times do we wash our hands? Many times. They say it is also health-wise to wash your nose. Because these are the pore spaces where, detriment and all these fumes and carbon dioxide and this and that is going in. So it's mandatory. At least wash it once. Most of the hospitals in the United States, you find them in the bathroom. Wash your nose. How many times do we wash our nose? Your face. We have natural oil that comes up your face. So all these fumes and, dust go up your face. If you don't take care, it might end up in your system. So it's good to also wash your face twice a day, according to the medical records. And they say, if you once in a while take off your shoes and walk barefooted around the yard. Why? Because you release certain chemicals that comes out of you. It's like ethylene. You are releasing something out of you which is detrimental to your life. Somehow they knew this. And we do all these things. We do all these things. I don't need to go deep into explanation as to all these things. So this is what we do, and that is Islam. The way we eat is health all over the place. The way we slaughter, you know that very well. This is the most beautiful aspect of slaughtering that we do in Islam. And today, most of the Western people are copying it. Because most of the time, they eat the blood. You know, the lamb, they don't care to slaughter it. They just kill it, twist the neck or something. In pity. And they kill it and they eat, so the blood stays in. And you know very well, as a medical student that you are, the microbes and all these diseases accumulate in the blood, which is very detrimental. It causes a lot of sicknesses. Sometimes there's a lot of sicknesses in the western part of the world. Now they are realizing that their lifestyle have caused them so many diseases. Some diseases don't even have name. We don't find that here in Africa, even though we have here and there you find a little disease. But most of the diseases that these guys are facing in the West, unbelievable. So anytime I come home, I find a place, make sujood shukur, to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I'm home. I'm in a civilized world. Finally. Yes. You might say, man, what? The United States is civilized. Germany, France, all this, you know. I want to go to the States. I want to go to the States. That's what I was saying. Yes, I went to the States. But the point is, I don't copy anything from them. Me, I don't know about somebody else. But me, I don't copy anything. Because I find everything in the Quran. Everything is in the Quran. Allah said, وَلَقَدْ صَرَفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِلنَّاسِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ. Everything that you can think of. وَكُلِّ شَيْءٍ فَصَّلْنَاهُ تَفْصِيلًا. To each and everything you can think of, Allah said it has been explained in the Quran, tafsila, in details. And so therefore, I don't think there's any other place for me to find guidance, especially when it comes to health. You know very well, you read the Quran very well. There's a lot of things that the Quran have mentioned in terms of health, and you know very well. And this is the time that the western part of the world is actually copying, you know, what Islam have done. In the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, up to 16th century, you know very well, the Muslims were doing wonders in science, in research, medicine. Rightly, the chairman make mention of some of them. And it's an ongoing trend. All these things that you see when it comes to medical issue, we started. At that time, the Western people, they were living in caves. They live in caves. When in Baghdad, they've established, you know, Darul Hikmah, the house of wisdom. That's where you find a lot of Muslim intellectuals researching, doing wonders. In fact, the Muslims have given the world something that the West cannot pay. They cannot. It is in the annals of history. They wish they can expunge the contribution of health and science that Muslims have given them. We started everything. We were there from the very beginning, and they know that very well. Now, volumes of books are being written about the contribution that Islam have given to the world. But where are the writers? I don't see no Muslim writers today. I don't see. It's very few. It's like negligible. We don't write our own story. So therefore, we have to read. We are content to read their books. We even quote in our sermons, in our lectures, but we're supposed to be doing that. After all, the first revelation that came to the Mount of Light, to the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was Iqra'a. Read. So at the very beginning, at the very inception of Nubuwah, reading is the tool. So in the first revelation, Allah mentioned knowledge twice. And he mentioned pen once to emphasize the importance of learning in Islam. Knowledge is power. How many words does Allah know? Do I know? Do you know? Infinity. beyond infinity. But why would Allah start up by saying, Iqra'a, read, read books, knowledge, crave it, research. We started everything. The messenger said, Hayrukum man ta'allama al-Qur'an wa 'allama. The best amongst you is he who read, learn the Quran and teaches it. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He also said, knowledge is the lost property of the believer. Go look for it, even if it's with the unbeliever, because you deserve it more than the unbeliever. Knowledge. That is the contribution that the world giving this, world. According to William Boyle is one of the speakers when it comes to science. There is a science magazine in the United States, and he said, disease is the absence of health. This disease that we see is the absence of health, and it's very woefully, sorrowfully. And the World Health Organization also contributed by saying that health is the state of well-being, psychologically, physically, mentally, notwithstanding the disease or infirmity. So the world is yearning for health, and the health can be found in so many places. Among the places that you find health in your life is in Islam. The salah that you do itself, Allah, He knows you very well. So Allah said in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ وَنَعْلَمُ مَا تُوَسْوِسُ بِهِ نَفْسٌ وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. I created you. I know how you feel, and I know what you do, because I'm very close to you than your own jugular vein. So if Allah is closer to you than your own jugular vein, that means He should be in position to give you a writ, a law, that the law, like the Quran, He gave us the law that is consistent with our life. He's closer to us. He gave us the book, and the book is just for our own betterment, not for Him, it's for us. The betterment that the nourishment of what we get in the Quran is for our own health. Hollywood, like I said, as of last 2 years, according to Reader's Digest, Hollywoodians, these guys that you want to copy them, which I don't know why, they spend close to $4 billion US on health issue. Like Brad Pitt, they call him the Hollywood, the most beautiful, the most whatever. I don't know how they didn't come to Nigeria and see who are the most beautiful. They say he is in Hollywood and he's the most beautiful, handsome bachelor on earth. Why would you make such a statement? He didn't come to my village and check it out, see if there's someone that superseded him in beauty. You didn't come there. And then you have, Christy Brinkley and Naomi Campbell. These are beautiful women, they say super models. And they are the beautiful women on the face of the earth. But I think they should come to Nigeria. As a matter of fact, they should come to Kano. And then they're going to see beauty. You're going to stand over there in Hollywood and you're talking about these are the most beautiful human beings on earth. Yet they spend over $4 billion US trying to lose weight, trying to exercise. Raise their hand, do like this, bend down, this and that. What they do on television. You see them doing aerobic styles and this. Allah gave us all this thing in the salah. You need to raise your hand. Allahu Akbar. How many times you raise your hand? The ligament, the movement, everything fits in, at the right perspective. And then you bow down. There is a need for the vertebrae in the back to also move to get you right. So you go bow down, and then you rise up again. It's like you're going, But Allah put everything in the salah. He created you. He knows how you feel. So everything is in there. It's a miracle. And you go all the way down. You prostrate. The cerebrum, the prefrontal cortex. It is a situation that needs a lot of blood to flow all the time. Most of the time, they do wickedness. The wickedness that comes, the forehead, the prefrontal cortex, The motto, it is the driven. It drives you to do wicked thing. At the same time, it does good thing. But it needs nourishment, and that nourishment is blood flowing. So the only way you could get it to motto itself, grease it up, is to go in prostration 5 times a day. All this thing, Hollywood, they get somebody to come to their house in the gym and he do some exercise and he go like this, just like we do in Salat. Do that and do that, 10 minutes, and he get paid thousands of dollars, man. Allah gave us for free in Islam, and it comes in our Salat. So if you don't want this, what would you want? If you don't want this, what do you want? Health is Islam, and Islam is health. The Muslims did wonders, a lot of them. They did a lot of wonders. You know, the chairman can explain even better, because I know he have, you know, the encyclopedic books about the early Muslims who strive. Compass, they did all this thing. You know, optometric, the eye, you know, the brain, surgical instrument, and all this thing was first created by the Muslims at the very beginning. Today, I've seen 2 of them at Tashkent Museum, and I see one in Turkey, Istanbul. That's a big museum that they have all this machinery, and they write the names of those who, you know, who did this thing. They were Muslims, man. But today, Johnson & Johnson have bought the patent, and they are doing all this thing, thinking that it is them. No, it's us. We take the credit. Even eye drop right now as I'm speaking. There's a man in Egypt. His name is Abdul Basit, not the Qari Abdul Basit, not him. His name is also Abdul Basit. And he was speaking, he said there was a time that he was sick, lying on his bed, and he couldn't go to the Fajr Salat. And so when the Azan was being proclaimed, he was lying down. He tried to get up, but he couldn't make it. So he just lay there and said, you know what, let me just get some rest. He was sick. So finally, he was, you know, writing in his book. He said when the Imam began to recite, the Quran during Salah in Fajr, he was listening to it, and then something sparked him to think. What is that? You know, Abraham was thrown in fire, right? King Nimrod is trying to destroy Ibrahim alayhi salam, and so they catapult him in fire. They made it a beautiful big day. It's like sort of like a holiday, so that everybody will witness this man who is burning, you know, destroying our idols, man. We got to burn him alive in stake. So when they catapult him to the fire, by the time he lands in the fire, Allah spoke to the fire. What did Allah say? Kuni baradan wassalamu ala Ibrahim. Oh fire, be cold, but regulate your temperature to fit his body. Had Allah said, Ya naru, kunu bardan ala Ibrahim, oh fire, be cold to Ibrahim, that fire will receive Allah's directive, and it will be so cold that Abraham will die in pneumonia. But no, Allah said, Ya naru, kunu bardan, be cold, but salam your coldness to fit his body. It's like when you have air conditioning, you don't turn the knob all the way down. Do you do that? You put it like 2, 3, 4. If you turn all the way, it's going to harm you. You're going to wake up in the morning, all this sinus and stuff like that. You need medication. You might go to the hospital. No, but Allah said, oh fire, be cold to Ibrahim, but regulate your temperature for the coldness to fit his body. So Abdul Basit said, what is in this fire? Is there any property in the fire that also make it to become cold? The same fire causing coldness again. What is the dichotomy? What is it? So he began to think, and eventually he was the first human being during the Islamic Renaissance to postulate or to create a pattern that a fire can also generate coldness. Think about your air condition. Don't you plug it at the extension? Isn't that fire? If you touch it, you might get electrocuted, right? You get shocked. It might kill you. But this same air condition is giving you coolness. And how do you do it? You turn the knob, maybe, like 2, 3, 4, 5, so that it will be comfortable with you. You don't turn it all the way down. Your refrigerator, what did you do? You don't put it all the way up to 10, maybe 2, 3, 4. You salam it to fit your, so that it doesn't become so cold. This pattern was removed from Abdul Basit's memoir, and eventually his family were the one who were the custodian of the pattern. Eventually Johnson & Johnson, and then eventually General Electric, they bought the pattern and they began to do air conditioning, and you buy thinking that it is the way. Man, it is for us. We did that. This is what Islam have given the world. Like I said, at that time the Europeans were living in darkness. That is the dark ages. So when the Quran began to descend, it became the light age. We were ruling the world for over 800 years. Imagine from 9, 10, 11, 12 up to 16th century. Recently, that the West sort of took over a little bit. But we were ruling the world. And at that time, English language was the lingua franca of the world. The lingua franca of the world at that time was English. Was Arabic language. You must understand Arabic. You must come to the Arabic part of the world to be able to understand the mechanism of the world. Where were the Western people? Where were they? You don't find them. But today, they've taken what is us. And then eventually, like I said, they write books, volume of books. And we begin to buy these books. You go to Amazon and you buy the books by Brown, this and that, by Schneider, whoever. You just buy the books. We're supposed to be writing our books. So when they write, what do? History, right? There was a time I was in Seattle, Washington, Mr. Chairman. I was just taking it easy in my small living room. I was minding my own business. And all of a sudden, they say, breaking news. I look at the television. I saw this white guy with a blue eye, a Caucasian man. And among his titles on the ground, they said he's the specialist on the Fulani tribe. I said, what? This white guy living in Seattle, a specialist on the Fulani tribes, my tribe. This guy is a specialist on it. Meanwhile, he never been in my village. What is going on? I want to know what's going on. What? That means we don't read. So they write their books. His story. Did you get it? His story. Where's our story? Where's our story? And once they write it, where do they put it? In the library. Watch my lips. They lie upon you and they bury it. It becomes a library. And it takes you a long time to dig in deep. Where would you find the time to dig in millions of books? They hide it, man. Few get to know the secret, man. That's what it means, library. They sweep it under the rug, and they don't want us to even realize that it's for us. This is what they do. So the Muslims were there from the very beginning. All this information technology that they're talking about, the medical breakthrough and this and that and this and that, it is us. We started all this thing long time ago. Even eye drop. I have a little issue with my eye. The doctor said I shouldn't be reading in darkness. Because there was a time in my life that I was so hungry with knowledge that I was even reading when the light was low. Instead of taking it easy, I was stressing my eye. So I had a little problem, Mr. Chairman. So the doctor gave me a medical, whatever. They measured my eye. And so I could see from, so I realized, he asked me, please don't, you want to read in light and don't, so eventually but there was a time in my life that I was really hungry with knowledge. I stopped everything. I don't care about the money. I don't care about whatever. I'm looking for knowledge. Because if you get the knowledge, I'm not talking about the female. They will come looking for you. You should get the knowledge. Don't worry, just get the knowledge, man. Get it. Forget about now. Just get the knowledge. They will be giving you call. People will be calling you all over the world. Because they will be comfortable around you. So you need to get your knowledge. So I went to buy, an eye drop. And I bought this eye drop. And I used it upon me. And then later, I get to realize during my research, I find out that even eye drop Wallahi, it was created by Muslims and it came from the Quran. The pattern is there. It's in England. Scotland Yard Library of Congress. You see the facsimile is there on the glass. They tell you. But you begin to wonder, why don't they tell the whole world? They don't want to do that. They don't want to give you the credit. There is one ayah in Surah Al-Yusuf. When Yusuf alayhi salam, his father, who was his father? Yaqub. He was crying so much. He couldn't see his son for all these years. He cried so much that he became blind. So eventually, when his brethren, Yusuf, they came to him, they told him about the blindness. He just smiled, said, okay, took off his shirt. Izhabu bikamisi. Continue the ayah. Fa'alquhu ala wajhi Habib ya'ati basira. Take this my shirt, give it to my daddy. Let him rub it on his face. His eyesight will come. He will see. So the Muslim scholars at Dar al-Hikmah, back then, they begin to question this ayah. What is in that shirt that is going to make the father of Yusuf alayhi salam to see? Debate breakthrough. Some were saying it could be the sweat of Joseph or Yusuf, or it could be the material they use to make, the shirt or the cotton, or it might be, I don't know. So they were arguing and discussing and thinking deep upon that, and eventually one of them, Imam Riza, he, among his peers, he said, maybe it could be the sweat. So how do you know? And he gave few reasons. And he said, okay, so let's do some analysis. So they went to the library, Egyptian, the library of pathology, the library, the laboratory of pathology. They went there and they saw these, scientists in Egypt, and they asked them to give them the chemicals that causes the vaccine or anything that causes you to see. What are the chemicals? So they gave them a lot of chemicals, about 15 to 20 different chemicals mixed together to be able to produce vaccine. Among them is urea gondua. Urea gondua is part of the sweat. It's part of the sweat. So they say, subhanallah, what a breakthrough. So now what they did was they got some huge men. They make them work in the sun. They were sweating, and then they tapped the sweat in their body somehow to the laboratory. They mixed it up, and they did whatever they did. And wallahi, that was the first time they created the vaccine liquid that will make your eyesight to be clear. Even if it's not so clear, at least you will see that maybe 50, 40, 50% your eyesight is coming. This very sweat. So the Muslims were there from the very beginning. We did all this thing and we know all this thing. Even, in Medina, in Medina, we don't have honey. You don't find honey in Medina. They bring it there. They have to export it from Damascus, maybe Egypt, some other places. Because in the Messenger of Allah, the Messenger of Islam, he loved honey so much. You know the trouble between his wife and other wife himself about the honey that he ingested in one of his wife's place. And instead of him going to this house because he liked the honey so much, he stays so long in this house, one of the wives, And so his wife began to talk behind him, this and that and this and that and this and that. That we come to know that in Medina, they don't really have honey. It comes. They bring it outside Medina, and it's very expensive once they bring it to the shores of Medina. But what we know today, since we don't have, honey bee in Medina, that means they have to bring it, they have to import it, export it somewhere. How? Somebody have to bring it in Medina. Allah spoke to one of the animals, one of the flies. What fly is that does the honey? The bee. Did Allah inspire the bees? وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ. That inspiration is not like the inspiration that Allah does to prophet and messengers. Not the same, but we call it inspiration. Allah induces in them to act certain way, to be consistent with that inducement that Allah asked them to do. It just comes in them to do. Like, most of the animals today, like dog, for instance, with the puppies, and if you come close to the puppy, it's going to bite you. It's a new puppy, he take care of them. So the dog somehow is being induced by Allah to fend for the puppy. Somehow he knows that these are baby puppies, they need guidance, they need to be protected. So if you come very close, it's going to bite you or something, So that inducement, the dog is not doing that so that when they grow, they go to school and they begin and they study and somehow, they get a good job and take care of their... No, but it is something that Allah have done upon him. The same thing applies to the bee. وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الجِّبَالِ بُيُوتًا وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ, right? What? وَمِمَّا يَشْرُونَ. Then what again? ثُمَّ قُلِي مِنْ كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ فَاسْلُكِي سُبُلَ رَبِّكِ ذُلُلًا يَخْرُجُ مِنْ بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهَا فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. This is a beautiful, you could write a book on this one, about honey. Anitachizi itself, if we start on Anitachizi mina jibali buyuta, take ye the mountains, and that is the first choice for each and every bee before it produces the liquid which we call the honey. The rocks or the mountains are the number one first choice for the honey. If they don't have it, they go to the tree. If there's no tree, the human habitation. People farm them now. So it becomes the three, Allah mentioned them exactly. Anitachizi, it is speaking also to the female bees. The lexical Arabic connotation in the dictionary shows that Anitachizi is talking about, it is the females who actually go and do all these things. Because now we know the male bees, they don't work, they don't do nothing, absolutely nothing. What they do is they just hang around, just take it easy outside, while the female bees are working so very hard. Going out, traversing the vegetation, eat whatever that is, come home, and then eventually, the honey comes out of their belly. First look, look, that is it's a miraculous word. It's a follow the way that Allah have shown you. And this is how it shows. We have what we call in the bee kingdom, the dance. They dance. Let's say a bee left the colony, go outside and forage for some vegetation. Once it comes in, the other bees will say, where did you get all this bee in your, wow, you look so beautiful, your stomach is shining. Where did you get there, you gotta stop. Now she's gonna tell them to go to the same place. What does she do? She dances. So she stay in the middle of them. If it is like 1 mile away, she go halfway and back. They will say, okay, we know where that is. She communicates with them through dancing. If she go all the way around, go back again, and then go the other side again and come back, they will say, okay, all right, it's like 2.5 miles away. They understand the message. So Allah said, you bee, take the way that I have shown you. This is the way. Science called that the dance. And sometimes you find, honey, some are dark, right? Some are yellowish, right? Some are kind of whitish. You don't find them the same color. It has different hue, different colors. Why is it that? Some are dark, some are yellowish, some are light. That is Allah's wisdom. Because Allah said, Fihi shifa'ul linnas, right? It is a medicine for mankind. Then Allah said, Inna fi zalika la ayatin li ulul wat albab. But it is a sign for those who can think, who can reason, who can research, who know. Not everybody knows that. So if a bee produces dark honey, the vegetation they forage, they eat, in the community, let's say they come to this community, right? And they forage and eat whatever they eat to get the honey in their stomach. The sicknesses in this community, the bees, they know. So they produce the exact sickness in the community, they eat the vegetation. Let's say they go to Kazaure from here. Once they reach the border of Kazaure, Allah inspired them to eat certain leaves that contain medication and antidote for the community that lives in this part of our world. So you find some dark, some yellowish, some this and that. It is a message from Allah. Talking about Karkasara, it's not far from here, right? And then we have Hausawa, it's not far from here, right? This is not just in, I got like 10 minutes more, right? So what happened is that when I I used to live in, when I was working, I used to work at Ministry of Lands and Survey. At that time, there was a white guy who was the director of the place. His name is Jack. I don't know where he's at now. Jack. So this Kalkasara and Hausawa, part of it, I'm the one that sold most of the land. Man, if I knew that it's going to be this, man, I'm going to take a chunk for myself. But I don't know. Wallahi. I was the surveyor. We go there and, I was so young and, they tell them, look, he's the surveyor. She the surveyor? All right, okay. So I just, they'll come, they'll put, I measure the place and I'll cut it. Some Alaji will come. We just give. We just give the land, like for free. We just give. They pay something insignificant. So anytime I pass here, I say, wow, man, I was there with my surveying instrument, man. I cut all this land and I distributed outside. So clearly, the Muslim back again. Man is the most beautiful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah did not create you animal or rock or some lion or tiger or tree or something. He made you human being. And among human beings, he also make you to be a Muslim. And being a Muslim, he didn't leave you alone. He sent you a book. With the book comes a guide. That is the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he became a guide for you. So his life is the Quran. Just like the, chairman just mentioned. So the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the walking Quran. His life is the embodiment of the Quran. His life encapsulates all the teachings of the Quran. Allah who created him, himself said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, in the persona of the Messenger of Islam, a beautiful pattern of conduct that if you take it, it will be good for you. The Messenger said, I am not sent but to come and perfect good moral conduct. So whatever we do in Islam is inconsistent with, health. Health is very, very important. Allah's name is holy. Al-Quddus, As-Salam, source of peace and perfection and clarity. And that is Allah. Allah doesn't take anything from you except that which is good, something that is good, pure. So the purity of intention in Islam itself is a healing property. And the Muslims today, we are giving that mandate. Here comes in the tool for reviving the world that we live in. The Jewish were chosen and they were given all this mandate, but they failed. They feel so miserable. And the Christians were chosen also. They were given a book, the Injil, the Evangel, or the Gospel, the good news. They deviated entirely from the path. Instead of worshiping the one who gave the message to the messenger, they worship the messenger who brought the message from the one they should be worshiping. That is what they do. So they deviated entirely. And today Allah said, you, me, us, kuntu khayru ummat ukhrijal linnas. You, the Muslim, are the best of nation, evolved to guide mankind. So the world is looking out for you. The world is looking up for you to be a guide. But how could you be a guide if you don't do two things that Allah have mentioned? Or three. Kuntu khayru ummat ukhrijal linnas. Then Allah said what? Ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar tu'minuna billah. These three things, if you don't do it, in fact, you are not khayru ummah. You can never be the best of mankind if you don't practice what Allah have asked us to do. Ta'muruna bil ma'ruf, doing that which is good, wa tanha 'anil munkar, right? You forbid or you stop that which is detrimental to the society. So all these things, if you do, then you become the best of mankind, chosen to guide mankind. So indeed, inshallah, we are so happy for this way of life. And today, the world is coming to us. Eventually, they are coming. So Allah said, In huwa illa zikrun lil alamin wa la ta'lamunna nabahu barihin. This Quran is for the whole of mankind, but mankind will come eventually to understand the mystery and the truthfulness of the Quran. They are coming very close. I got four more minutes, I think. I'm just guessing. The fasting that you do, it is part and parcel. Allah put everything in perspective for you. When you fast, it's like fasting, to me, it's like a self-induced surgery. When you fast, you are doing surgery to yourself. Allah does not eat. The angels do not eat. So Allah wants you. He created you. He's given you 11 months. Eat whatever you want. Eat whatever you want. Junk food, eat all. But Allah said, look, just take 1 month to clear your system. It's like a garbage bin, dust bin. You put your garbage. It stinks. It, all these diseases. Allah said, no, clean it up. Clean it. Just like if you have a car, you need to service it up every, 3,000, 4,000 miles to the mechanic. He fixed it up. And once you spark the engine, it gives you a sound that is so beautiful, right? It's the same thing that applies to fasting. It is a healing for mankind. And the best form of fasting that is healing for mankind is the one that the Muslim practice. My brethren, the Christian, they fast also. They call it Lent. You could drink water. You could drink soda. You could drink all these things, but you can't eat solid food. You ask it, I'm fasting. I don't eat solid food. The guy is fasting, man, but he drink water. He drink Coca-Cola. And you give him bread. No, I'm fasting. What? The best form of fasting is our fasting. The moment, if you fasting, the moment you go like this, I got 3 more minutes. The moment you go like this, about to get some food, a muscle to your stomach. The moment you go like this, you extend your hand to the food. Your brain, your whole digestive system, they tell the other system, get ready, we're going to work. Because if you put one muscle in your stomach, all the digestive system, they go to work. They work. Imagine if you keep on eating everything. So the system kind of get overlocked. So if there is any time that your system will sing glory to you, they pray for you, it's the time of Ramadan, the time that you fasted. Because they have all these hours, you don't eat. They say, mashallah, alhamdulillah, we can rest. How about Allah? It's about time that we eat too. So you see, and all this thing is medication, it's medicine. A lot of sicknesses that you eat. Allah wants you to elevate yourself, to angelize yourself, just like the angels who do not eat. So in Islam, when we begin to talk about health benefit, I think we should be writing volumes and volumes and volumes of books. My next book, I've written 4 books already. The next one is coming. I'm going to finish in about a month. I have 1.5 more chapters to finish. It took me 8 years instead of maybe 1 year. Because I'm always on the move. My wife just called me yesterday. She said, but where are you now? I said, let me look at the globe. I am... I'm trying to see where am I. She said, stop that. Where are you? Are you still in Kano? I said, okay, all right, no problem. So you see, that's what it is, man. We are happy with Islam. And Islam is the fastest growing religion, all over the place. Everywhere in the world. In America, I don't have no problem. Don't worry about us. Our religion is going. We are taking over America. Whether they like it or not, willingly or unwillingly, Islam will supersede in America. People beg for salam. They beg you to become a Muslim. They see you, this is how I dress in America. No matter how I dress, I've got to put something on my head to showcase my religion. I'm happy with it. Because I can defend my religion left, right, north, south, east, and each and every other way. I can defend it. And so therefore, I'm always proud of my religion. So if they see you walking downtown, I have half second. If they see you walking downtown, Assalamu alaikum, are you a Muslim? Yeah, I'm a Muslim. Yeah, mashallah, I want to be a Muslim, but you know what? I smoke a lot of reefer, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I should be a Muslim. I said, well, take your shahada and smoke your reefer. You want to take a shahada? Take it. Once you're done, go smoke your reefer. Why did I say that? Inna salata anil fakhsha wal munkar. You can't force them in America. They don't like force. So we follow them gradually. And alhamdulillah, we are making inroad. Khaza billahi tawfiq. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, I think I already hinted to you that it's going to be an interesting and exciting encounter, and I'm sure it is. You see, as Sheikh Awal is speaking, if you've been watching some videos by also some Muslims, especially in the US, like Malcolm X, Malik Al-Shabazz, Muhammad Ali, the boxer and the da'i. So it was just the reminiscence of those great people who have really done a lot for Islam. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the wisdom and the blessings we have on Sheikh Awal. So if I can just summarize so that we can have something. He started talking about the issue of the role of even the salam, to say assalamu alaikum, that it sends peace to the whole world. And the world is now in need of peace everywhere. Wherever you open anything, it's just war, crisis, protest everywhere. So it sends a salutation of peace. And then he also talked about the role of some articles of Islam, especially the prayers, salah, in terms of the physical exercise nature of it and the spiritual well-being as well. And then he also discussed about the detoxification role of fasting, which serves as like a detoxification for the whole year. So this is also another thing. And then he talked about something, the role of Islam in preventing the communicable diseases, especially when these outbreaks of initially of Ebola and then later of the COVID came. Now a lot of the teachings that were being spread all over is about the teachings of Islam. Okay, please can we maintain some silence? Sorry, can we halt the sharing now? Hello, can we hold the sharing for a minute? Later we'll continue. We just talked about now that we shouldn't be eating always. Yes, allow the body to rest, my friends. Okay, so now the role of, I remember I wrote one paper a long time ago. I still have it. I have not presented it. I have not published it. I wrote it on religiosity in Islam as a protective mechanism against the spread of communicable diseases. Yes, I think I will dust it and then see how I can, and then maybe we'll communicate and see how we can make it. It's going to be, yes. Yes, I wrote it about 15 years ago, but I still have it. I will work on it. Now, we talked about the honey, especially in terms of the production of the honey by the bee and the hikmah in that. So this is another thing he talked about. And then he also talked about the human creation as a superb creation. Because, and you remember in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ, that you look at yourself. Now the human nature, the anatomy, the physiology, the biochemistry, the pathology of human being is so superb and is so exciting that it shows how the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then lastly, he also talked about the role of the early Muslims in the development of medicine and healthcare. What I will call on us is that we shouldn't just merely celebrate the role of the early Muslims, but we should also look inward. What have we done now? What contributions have we made? And in terms of knowledge and skills and inventions, what are we contributing? So we should celebrate, but at the same time, we should contextualize and then see what we can contribute in that. And I think we should try and really understand what does it mean to be a Muslim. I remembered when we were in the undergraduate, there is a book written by Fatih Yakan, Mada Ya'ni bi Intima'i lil Islam. What does it mean to be a Muslim, actually? So I think this is a book which we should really go around it, especially now that I'm saying a lot of young people are going into atheism, so that we understand. And then another thing is this role of the Muslim scholars. Most of us, we don't know really how the Muslims contributed to medicine. We should have some discussions on that. And there is also a book written by, I think, Abul Hassan Ali al-Nadawi, written on Mada Khasir al-Alam bi Inhitat al-Muslimin. They translated it into meaning Muslim and the world, or Muslims and the world. But actually, I think it's not a very good translation because it removed most of the meaning. What the book is trying to say is that what did the world lost by the weakness of the Muslims? You understand? So I think we need to look into that and so that we should know what we have contributed, the early Muslims, and then what we should contribute, and then we should have the Islamic message on how we should interact with everybody, so that Islam is not an uncivilized religion, it's the most civilized religion. It's only that some of us, we don't really understand how it is and then how to call people to Islam. So I think these are, in summary, what we have discussed.
So that you could see the light. If you believe, you'll achieve. It is all in your mind. Help the needy with only a dime. Help the needy with only a dime. Abu Yasser is here to help.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hakika mutane masu yawan gaske na buƙatar ilimi mai inganci, kuma suna da kishirwar ingantaccen ilimi musamman na addinin musulunci. Abu Yasser Institute cibiya ce da ke samar da bidiyoyi masu ilmantarwa da suka jibinci fannoni daban-daban. Ku sani wannan tasha na gudana ne sanadiyar goyon bayan da mutane irin kuke bayarwa. Kar ku manta ku tura zuwa wasu domin al'umma su amfana. Ku tuna ɗaukar nauyin ilimi na ɗaya daga cikin alkhairai masu gudana. Ana yi wa irin wannan kyauta da lakamin sadaka mai gudana, ma'ana sadakatu jariya. Domin ba da gudunmawarku ko taimako, danna link ɗin da yake ƙasa cikin sashen description, ko ku bibiye mu a donation page ɗinmu. Allah ya amshi kyautatawar mu ya kuma datar da mu baki ɗaya, amin. Abu Yasser Institute, ilimi da samar da ci gaba domin al'umma.